In terms of my own decisions, I will not be running in the upcoming election.
At the end of the First Minister's press conference yesterday, Justin Trudeau was asked if he was going to run in the next election. His answer will excite Canadians across the country as he very quickly said no. Meanwhile, Mark Carney is finally going to reveal his worst-kept secret and announce his Liberal leadership campaign as of today.
Let's take a look. From Global News, Mark Carney to announce run to become next Liberal leader.
Mark Carney is set to hold an event Thursday where he is expected to announce he's running to replace Justin Trudeau as the leader of the Liberal Party and the next Prime Minister of Canada. Calgary Liberal MP George Chahal's office said in a statement Wednesday that the MP will join Carney, quote, for his much anticipated campaign launch in Edmonton, end quote, on Thursday. In a letter to supporters inviting them to attend the event, Chahal said the former central banker is, quote, not a career politician, end quote, and that his background gives him, quote, a unique perspective to best represent the interests of all Canadians, end quote. Quote, in an era of global challenges, in a time of economic opportunity, Mark Carney has the experience required and the leadership skills needed to meet those challenges and take advantage of the opportunities, end quote, Chahal's email said. Veteran political strategist Stephen Carter also confirmed Thursday's event to Global News and said he will be working on Carney's campaign. Dwayne Bratt, a political science professor at Mount Royal University, told Global News he believes Carney is holding his leadership campaign launch in Edmonton because that is where he will likely run in the next election, given his family roots there. Quote, announcing in Edmonton, I think he's going to say, I'm going to run in Edmonton, end quote, Bratt said.
So we're looking forward to this. Not the announcement per se, but we're looking forward to the election. Because as we talked about on our previous video, Edmonton is a great spot for Mark Carney to run.
Because
Why?
It's all blue.
Right? Why is that? Because this is what Edmonton looks like.
It looks like the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Right. So all of these ridings are hard blue, meaning there is a very, very high probability, 80s and 90%, that they are going to be going to the Conservatives in the next election. Now, these numbers may change a bit as, Mark Carney tries to campaign, but
that's a bold decision.
It really is.
Perhaps a foolish decision.
It really is. It would only be bolder to go down to Calgary, which is even worse. But
worse for Carney, great for Conservatives.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. But how great would it be that the the guy can't even enter the House of Commons as the party leader, and it makes you wonder if he runs in Edmonton and then completely belly flops on election day. Are the Liberals going to want to keep him as leader? And the other question is do the Liberals plan to change their rules of ousting a leader after the last debacle? Don't know.
I would hope so. I hope next time that they have a convention, that's one of the things that gets fixed right away because, they saw how destructive it was for their party, and hopefully they understand exactly how destructive it was for Canada.
Right. And I'm sure Liberal members of Parliament, current and past, will probably raise that as a motion and something to vote on in the Liberal Constitution once that convention is held, most likely this coming fall. Now, let's get to Mr. Justin Trudeau. So while he was, basking in the cooperation and the press coverage of what was to be the First Minister's meeting, he was wisely not taking credit for this, but he was saying, well, we all came together. Well, let's be honest. All the premiers met yesterday, figured out what was going to happen, and then, you showed up today. And they probably just said, okay, Justin, this is what's going to happen. And you just said, oh, okay. Like, that's what feels like what happened. But
Well, I think it was all the premiers except one, correct?
correct. So Danielle Smith agreed with most of what was proposed, but she was against actually signing off on her part because she didn't believe that it would be a good idea to put tariffs on Alberta oil. And I think she is quite worried of the fact that if they did that, then they may lose permanent customers down the road. So I can understand that. But is it going to be the right decision for her or not? Time will tell.
Well, and especially with Alberta being landlocked and BC not really wanting to build a pipeline to go to the Pacific coast, Alberta's main customer for oil happens to be the United States and Eastern Canada to a degree, but mostly the US.
So let's see how this went down when Trudeau spilled the beans.
Mr. Trudeau, do you plan on running in the next election? And if you don't, what are you going to do when you're not Prime Minister anymore?
First of all, I want to thank Scott for that answer. It's rare I get such support. No, I do have to say that particularly those who've been around. Oh, sorry, I'm endangering your political fortunes by thanking you publicly. I do want to say that Scott and Doug and a number of the folks who've been around a while have been extraordinarily invaluable in these conversations, in this Team Canada approach. There's always a lot of politics going on around this country, but to know when to step up in the Canadian national interest and to know that that's what Canadians want to see is really is to the credit of everyone around this table. In terms of my own decisions, I will not be running in the upcoming election. As to what I might be doing later, I honestly haven't had much time to think about that at all. I am entirely focused on doing the job that Canadians elected me to do in an extraordinarily pivotal time right now. The U.S. inauguration and the weeks that follow are something that is of deep, deep importance to Canadians, and we are entirely focused on that as a team.
Do you know what? I found it really gross that Trudeau couldn't resist taking a dig at Scott Moe.
Yep.
Like, you're on your way out, simmer down. Nobody really cares what you have to say anymore. Don't embarrass your colleagues like that.
Well, but this is the thing. It's all about Justin Trudeau all the time.
Oh, of course. His ego is bruised, so he's going to lash out at others.
Well, and he had to have known he was going to get this question at some point because this is pretty much his first press conference since his resignation.
That's right. He's been hiding.
So that's the interesting part about it. Now, Trudeau stepping down and not running in the next election. Who should be surprised about this? Nobody. I cannot recall a prime minister that after they were ousted from their seat decided to continue running and serving as an MP.
I don't think I have ever heard of one who has stepped down and then filled the role themselves as the interim prime minister or interim party leader until the new one was found. Like, usually there's a deputy for this reason.
Right. And I know it's not going to appease everybody, but ladies and gentlemen, Justin Trudeau is leaving. He can't do anything about it.
You can't call the Emergencies Act.
He's leaving. It's not going to happen. Okay? He's not going to be a dictator for life. The Liberals are not going to be dictators for life. There's going to be an election.
Well, and you heard in our interview with Andrew Scheer that they can't even really prorogue past the 26th of March, which is when they have to have this confidence vote for the next supply, the next session of supply. So, I mean, there's no other option. He's done. He's gone. He's leaving. And they can't even extend prorogation past the 26th of March.
Well, and here's the problem. Don't get dragged down in what is possible. Is it possible that the Liberals could prorogue again and avoid that confidence vote? Yes, it is.
But you better go buy a lottery ticket because I think your odds of winning the lottery are going to be better.
Right. Because if they do that, you're going to see 300,000 public servants get really, really angry because they're not going to get paid by the government because at that point, no money is given to the government. That's what this March 26 supply vote means. And the only way they can get money if the government isn't in session is if Parliament is dissolved. And then the Governor General is allowed to issue special warrants to actually pay the agencies to keep the government running during an election. So that's what's happening. Trudeau's stepping down, and this is a good thing because he's not going to have parliamentary privilege anymore. He's going to be able to be summoned to committee, assuming he stays in Canada. And if they reopen the SNC Lavalin investigation, he will be investigated and he could potentially be charged and go to jail. But who knows what the future is going to bring there.
Time will tell.
So let's take a look at kind of why we're here. Nanos released a recent poll that ended on January 10th. Let's take a look at the numbers. So this goes all the way back to before Justin Trudeau was Prime Minister. So you can see where Trudeau mania happened in 2015, and they shot all the way up to, in the 40s, where the Conservatives are now. And then it was a steady decline with a little bit of a bump during COVID, and they have completely cratered. Now, if you see, this is significant. This is the lowest, absolute lowest, rock bottom level that Nanos has had the Liberals in over 10 years.
Wow.
That is significant. They have never been lower on this chart than they are today at 19.6. And Nanos, look at how far they have the Conservatives there at 47%.
I just have to focus on that number from the Liberals. I mean, the reason Justin Trudeau was brought in back in, I think it was 2013, was to help save the party. And just reminds me of the saying, if you deal with the devil, you'll pay the devil's price. And that's exactly what's happened to the Liberal Party. For a little while, their fortunes were good, and now they are worse than ever.
Well, and maybe the other reason why Justin Trudeau resigned and decided not to run again is because he looked at his own numbers. So this is the quote-unquote Liberal Party power index tracking. Again, from when he took power, even before then, in 2013. And this was when the Liberals were at 34 seats in Parliament after Michael Ignatieff, and he left them just in utter shambles. Well, look at where Nanos has them now. It is almost half of what it was when Ignatieff completely cratered the party.
So can you explain for us what party power index is?
So that takes into, many different factors. It takes into account the public perception of the leader, what their ballot index is, and also the influence that they have in the ballot. And Nanos also asks for first and second choice in terms of voting. So it takes into account the first and second choice for voters. So how often are they picking the Liberals as second? So there's many different factors that actually goes into that. And we can see an interesting difference if we look at the Conservatives. So the Conservatives have never been as low as that 33 number in the last 10 or 11 years as the Liberals were. And you can actually see that even during Stephen Harper's last run of government, Pierre Poilievre is significantly higher at this point than he was here. And you can see the difference between where the party was under O'Toole and under Scheer. So they're in a really good spot and in really good hands with Pierre Poilievre in terms of how they're doing from a public perception point of view. And as much as the mainstream media will tell you that everybody hates Pierre Poilievre, he's actually at his highest preferred leader status than he's seen since he became leader.
Well, I think Canadians know that they need a real leader to help clean up this mess that Justin Trudeau and the rest of the Liberals have left for us. I've noticed that social media seems to be buzzing lately with Mark Carney and how he's going to be the savior and how he's going to clean everything up and he's going to do this and he's going to do that. We're even seeing it on our own comments, which is why to me it seems fake. It seems inorganic. It seems not real. Now, I have no proof of this, so this is just a wild theory based on observations, but again, no solid proof. It just seems odd to me that Carney hasn't even announced his leadership campaign, and you have all these comments and things that are singing his praises. I honestly am suspicious. The Liberals in the past have admitted to using influencers to get their message across. We don't know whether or not they use bots, but this to me seems strange.
Well, and technically using bots, promoting Carney isn't illegal because he's not an MP. He's not a member of the government.
It's also outside the election
correct
window.
So, and there's nothing to do with a federal election when it comes to this, they would argue. So, who knows? We have no evidence of that. But it is a little strange how all of a sudden you see all of these people singing Mark Carney's praises and that, I'm going to vote for Carney for Prime Minister. He's not even the leader of the Liberals yet. How are you going to vote for him for Prime Minister?
Well, maybe they mean that they'll vote for him in the leadership race and then he will win and become Prime Minister. But the point being, the amount of pro-Carney rhetoric that I've seen on all sorts of social media, X, Facebook, Reddit, our own YouTube channel, it's suspicious to me.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how the polls are going to react in terms of Carney, in terms of Freeland, and we'll see what happens. But as he said in the beginning, if he wants to run in the blue ocean of Alberta to try to win a seat, to maintain his leadership and a seat in the House of Commons, good luck.